Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSidfs DFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm your host, Mega Rover 31. Hope you're having a great weekend, St. Patrick's Day weekend for those who are celebrating. Decent truck race tonight. I didn't think Kyle Busch would win it, which was true, and Eckes, we had that as a prime play. Um, Kyle Busch did get up there and lead and did do pretty well. So made some money, not a ton on it. Hopefully it did a little bit better. But now we're on to the Cup race. And it's not dirt this year, which is it's kind of nice. I really wasn't a huge fan of that. I got it. They're trying to do some stuff during COVID to, make things a little bit more interesting. And it just didn't seem to be, what we really wanted for that. So we've got a 500 lap race here, which means a lot of dominator points, a lot of fast laps. So we got to figure out who are going to be the best ones for that. It's also like a really short half-mile racetrack. So the front catches the back very quickly. And it's not uncommon for you to blink an eye and some guys to be like 5 or 6 laps down. And that's going to be like Justin Haley and Kaz Grala, and some of those guys in the back could find themselves down multiple laps really quickly. So it's kind of a dichotomy here. Uh, Whereas if you watch the truck video, I said, how was I building? I was going to find 2 dominators up top. I was going to find 2 guys in the middle or 2 drivers in the middle for place differential, and then a couple punts, but I really didn't want to drop below 25. These drivers a little bit better. So I think that some of the guys that didn't qualify well that ended up down towards the bottom could potentially move up fast enough not to get caught uh, going like multiple laps down, but the risk is still there. And also, it's Bristol and chaos. And, um, you know, I, my 3 worst drivers in the world that I've always said were Joe Graff Jr., who we haven't seen any of this year yet, Drew Dollar, who we haven't seen any of yet, and Harrison Burton. Now, Harrison Burton, I kind of took it back a couple weeks ago, and he's been doing decent. We'll talk about him when we get to him. But I think Derek Kraus is starting to enter the discussion because they had a 50-minute practice, and he still goes out and doesn't know how to drive the car and wrecks a bunch of guys early on in the race last week. So that was kind of tilted. Speaking of last week, thank you for those of you who took up the challenge. Didn't quite, we did something nice for somebody else. Didn't quite get there, but we, did make a huge impact. So I've left the this week and open for free on the website. So if you go to FSI DFS, you can sign up for NASCAR for free for the pricing. So I guess I'll throw it out there again. The video hits over 1,000 hits, which we've done every time this season. Kind of give you a freebie, then I'll give you one free day next week. Just check back to the video on Tuesday morning, and if it's gone over 1,000, then in the comment section, I will have a coupon code that you can use for a free day. Okay, let's get into this one. So Ryan Blaney has the pole. He's done really well here. I don't see any reason why not to play him. The truck race, the pole sitter didn't dominate every single lap, but had the best truck, and at the end ended up pulling away and winning the race, even though Kyle Busch was hot on his heels when he's trying to get through traffic at the end. Eckes did a great job. I think Blaney has a good car and has really run well here, and he'll be fine. Josh Berry comes in second here in qualifying. And if you look at the qualifying, I have AB, and I don't have any qualifying times here because they're absolute garbage. A got to go out there after like the truck, so there was some rubber down. It wasn't bad. They put some resin. It wasn't I forget the letters of it. I think it's not TB12. It sounds like some kind of like sports powder that you pick up at GNC or something. It's like it used to be PB, whatever. They used to put down for traction. Now it's like they call it rosin, I believe, and it's a thin strip on the bottom, and you're trying to create 2 grooves of grip on the track. So the bottom groove started out, the top groove of the truck came in pretty fast. So A's practice had went pretty well. B's practice, they said that like they moved some of the dust and the dirt on the track, and he started to get stuck in that rosin stuff as it because it was put on hot, and then as it cooled, it grabbed um, some of the debris and it became really slick and it was almost like driving on the dirt track again. So some drivers that are good on driving on that, like Kyle Larson and Chase Briscoe, who were good in dirt, did fine, and other ones were spinning out and not doing so well. So you can't really look at the practice times. There was such a discrepancy in them. You just got to throw them all out. So they don't really matter. And qualifying had two groups too. There's a little bit of imbalance there, but I don't think it's enough to really screw things up. So I think people and you don't speed is good here, definitely on a short track and and fall off and stuff, but I don't think the data is accurate enough to really look at it. The only nice thing about this is the truck race like did their practice and qualifying in the morning and then they ran at night, and everybody that thought they were going to be loose was so tight just because the way the track conditions change. So we'll see, how that affects them. The race does start on the East Coast. I think Tennessee is like, I think that maybe they're in Central. They're not on the West Coast, so it's not completely off, but it should be the race should go by pretty quickly, but it might get into like the evening hour, so the track could cool down a little bit for that. Although they were wearing coats and stuff like when they were doing the exit interviews tonight at the truck race. So I didn't check the temperature tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to be like blazing hot. So I don't think it'll be a stark difference between day and night on that. But still, I think practice was helpful for some of them to get some issues fixed, but it wasn't like a super long practice. So, anyways, we're not really looking at practice. But Barry did good on qualifying here. I think you got to consider him as an upside dominator, but I do fear that he does have the potential to fall on back. So if you're playing him as like a cheap dominator in your build, if you're going three doms, you have two expensive ones and he's a cheap one, and then a little bit of place differential, then you don't really need his punt as much because like 6,500 is almost punt level. Then I think that's how you have to sprinkle Barry in. Not a priority, but don't completely throw them out. 5 to 10% of your builds. 10 might be a little high, so maybe more like 5%. Denny Hamlin, Joe Gibbs Racing has been strong in this next gen car at short track and at Bristol. So Denny Hamlin, I think, is definitely another great upside dominator here. I think he'll have high ownership based on what you've seen before. Knows how to drive on this track and is really good at it, and could potentially get out there. Right behind Blaney if Barry like doesn't get going, and Hamlin's right out there with Blaney and gets beside him, could pass him at some point, or if he could beat him out of the pit or whatever later on. I think Hamlin has a great chance of upside. Joey Logano has had an abysmal start to his uh, season. I think he's like many points behind 16th place for the playoff cut. I saw the graphic. So he's got some work to do. He's only averaging 8.92 DK points per contest, but I think he's another sleeper here as an upside dominator. Could he go out there and be one that we're overlooking based on current form and just like completely throw him out as somebody that we don't want to consider? Yes, but I think that you got to consider as a dominator. As you'll notice, like I don't have like too many like I only have one purple dom here, only because I think the two prime plays in Blaney and Larson, when I get to him in a second, can be purple dom plays. The rest of them, I think there's a lot of upside, but I think there's a lot of doubt, and I really want to nail them. So like the cash dom plays, I'm really limiting, but the orange ones, I just really want to leave some options out there for you. Chase Briscoe has won this race before. Uh, he he's been pretty good here. And again, like anytime you have to shift, like he's always been good at it in this next gen car. So I think that he's got another dark horse to get out there and maybe potentially be a dominator at some point in this race. So, and he's run well on these tracks. And, if I look back at the Clash is another one. And like we know, Logano's been good at the Clash. Oh, sorry, skip right over Elliott. Well, I'll get to him in a second. So, um, Briscoe is someone that I think just how well I've seen him run at the Clash could do well here. Chase Elliott, I gave the purple Dom to because he has always been really well here. I mean, last year I think he missed the early race, and then with his injury, and he just was kind of off last year. So I think he's completely healed. Like had the off season off, and I think it was just definitely seeing some improvement because you had a really hot rookie year, had a sophomore slump, step back a little bit more, and then now I think has a chance to start moving forward again. There is definitely talent there, good pedigree, great team, and I think that you're going to see. And I love how the fact that it's only 8,300. Like that's a great price for somebody that could go out there and dominate. So I think you can definitely play him in cash and or GPP, however you want to swing it. But I think consider him definitely in your dominating pool. Michael McDowell, I gotta put a fade here. I just don't think that he's strong enough. I know, I think it was last year they started like fifth and ended up seventh or whatever, but he wasn't in the optimal. It just wasn't enough to get it done. Um, even with the finishing position. So I'm out on him this week. I think there'll be other weeks where he will be key to success, but this is just not one of them. Byron is good here. I think he's great. So, and high price here. I'd rather pay for some other people. A little bit of place differential. Could he get out there and dominate? Absolutely. That's why I have him as an upside dom play here. Um, there's a lot of like speculation between he and Logano and Briscoe and Byron, but all the other ones that I'm speculating on are just so much cheaper, almost like less than $1,000. So I'd rather probably play them than Byron because if I miss on some of the other upside dominators and they don't get out there and dominate and aren't a dominator, but still have a good finish position, they're going to pay off their salary. But I don't know if Byron can unless he does get some of those down points. So that's why I'm probably going to have less ownership of him than definitely more than Barry. But when I look at these upside doms, like Hamlin, I know is more expensive, but he's so close to the front that I think that's an easy one, or probably the first one I'm going to throw in my GPP lines. And then with like Logano and Briscoe, they it's just so much cheaper. And Bubba Wallace here also, like I said, the Gibbs Toyotas have been pretty decent here. Bubba's been pretty decent on these types of tracks also. Having a solid start to the season, 7,700 as someone that could get out there and lead laps, whether it be through pit strategy or something. I don't see him just going out there and like picking off car after car after car, but I do see him putting himself in a good position and potentially being able to leverage himself into the lead at some point. So he's an upside down. Larson has been very good here. He was in the B qualifying group, which I think wasn't as good as the A one, so that's why he's like down more towards 10th. But I think that he's absolute prime play here. He should be able to get out there. He's aggressive. He knows how to pass. He's really good on dirt and short tracks and stuff. He can work the high groove. He can work the low groove. Any place on the track, he can make it successful. And I think that's going to help him pass cars and get up there and challenge for the lead and take over the lead. And he could lead not every lap, but he could have the most laps led in this one here. So Truex, he looked better last week, but I think that were more circumstances beyond his control. I still think he's getting a little bit dusty. That just continuing to compete out there, but it's just not doesn't have the bite that he had a couple years ago, starting to lose a little bit of his edge. So I'm gonna put him as a GPP just because last week he did show us something, but I need to see some consistency in it before I put him as like a cash play. Uh Christopher Bell, I don't know why he has a fade here. That is definitely not. He should be a UDOM. So uh see that's why you don't watch like the video and just take a screenshot of the sheet, because sometimes there's errors on it and you don't want to miss something. So Bell is definitely in play here. I like him as a dominator. The only thing is you got to pair him with, like, he's going to be like a second wave dominator. So you got to pair him with a Hamlin or a Logano or Blaney or somebody up there if you think he's going to be like a second or third wave one. I know the price point's hard. I know he's going to be hard play. I mean, you can probably make it work, but it's going to be dangerous when you're dropping down to that 5K level to try to get all these. If you go like with a three king line, and I call a three king line any line that has three drivers over 10K in it. Let me just see quick how much is that even going to leave you for salary if you try to get those three in. I think it's just gonna not be good. So if we throw Larson, Blaney, not Hamlin, and Bell in, gives you 56 left. So I mean, it's not horrible. Because there's a lot of fades. I think they're starting way too far forward. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think I can make it work with a lineup that I like. So uh, with that one, I would probably take Larson out and go Bell over Larson, and then figure out who your third dominator is going to be. And this is definitely where the Briscoes or the Elliots or the Wallaces come in to make that third dominator work, because their pricing is much better. Eric Jones, I think, has some upside here. Like I said, the Toyotas have been fast and decent and a little sluggish the last couple of years, but the Chevy, is pulling out. I'm sure they didn't have a ton of resources there. So it's looked better this year, and I think he's a GPP. The floor is kind of scary because he could fall down and lose you. But I think he has some upside maybe to get into the top 10 potentially. So it's a GPP. Zane Smith is, oh, wait, how did I get all the way down there? I'm so sorry. Um, so let's go back here. Uh, Harrison Burton. I'm sorry, Harrison. Harrison, you have been doing better. Harrison, you got the GPP tag the other week, and Harrison, you almost ended up as a cash play too in consideration. But this week, I gotta put the fade on just because of the fact that I think you start way too far forward here, and I don't think you can maintain it. I think you're going to fall backwards. If you stay in the top 15, then that's great. We're showing progress. You're moving in the right direction, and maybe we'll consider you for more GBP and some cash plays, and take you out of the category of the worst three drivers in all three series. But at this point, I just don't feel secure playing Harrison Burton starting this far forward. Kyle Busch, the final upside dominator here. I think that just seeing what he was doing in practice, he went in, changed his tires up. He is good when he has practice to get things dialed in. And we saw him. Didn't he win one of the clashes, or he came close? Maybe finished second or so. But he looked really good at the beginning of last year, and I think that was some of the short tracks. So, and obviously he ran the truck out there, so it's a completely different vehicle. I understand that, but he's got a feel for like the grooves and how the track is and everything. So I think that's kind of a little bit of advantage there too. So I think he definitely is an upside dominator, and again would be another one to. I mean, he might be a little bit easier to swallow if you throw him in. That gives you at least almost 6K, and there's some people that there's definitely some people in cash that you can get in there to make that one work. So if you want to use Kyle Busch as your third dominator even at 10-2, I think that's workable there. Eric Jones, as I already said, Zane Smith here is a fade, even though he ran the truck race and ran it pretty well, and the Spire car isn't bad. I think he's too far forward here, and I think he's going to fall on back. So it's a fade for me. Brad Keselowski, I think you can play in cash also. I just can't put him as upside dominator. I think at 17th, it's too much for him to get up there. I know he's done some different tire strategies and taken 2 instead of 4 and things like that, and stayed out and stuffed and zigged when other people zag just to try to get track positions. Got a good pit crew, so but I just couldn't do it. But I think he could be a solid cash play with if you're looking for some place differential, and he's one to consider for some solid place differential to maybe move up into the top 10. There'd be 7 places there. Corey LaJoy fade starting too far forward for me here. Ty Gibbs, I think, is a GPP. Like I said, the Gibbs cars are fast. We definitely see him improving. He's going to get closer and closer to winning a race. I don't think this is the one. So I don't think this is the best style track for him. But I do think that he can get up above some of these people. But still, I just don't know if it's enough floor for cash. So GPP. Hemrick is a fade. Cindric has been super slow here. Never really has fared well here, so I just can't play him. So those 2 are fades. Gregson probably should be GPP, but I really like this range here. This is where like the place differential is going to be. And at 67, I think he's a good play for salary wise for some upside. He's aggressive. He has looked good the last couple of weeks, and I think he'll have medium ownership. I think people gravitate more down towards like the superstar, or not the superstar, but like the better known, what better established guys. But I think they're way so far down that they might be in trouble with losing the laps. I think a 22nd is a really nice place for him to start, and I think that if he just finishes in the middle of the pack or even where he starts, he pays off his salary. He opens up what you need up top to get your dominators in, and we're good for that. Tyler Reddick, I think, is a decent cash play here. I think, again, 2311, a Toyota, pretty good here, pretty solid. Should move up. Usually is good running the high groove, which is maybe something that if he can make it come alive faster than some of the other drivers could be an advantage and could help him start passing people. So I think he can be a cash play. I was almost borderline GPP with the salary, but I think there's enough there for place differential and potential for him to be able to get to the 4 to 5x I'm looking for in cash at 9K. Gillian, Priest, I think are definitely um, other guys that they're in the sweet spot range here too. That Gillian has been solid. Hopefully he's just that lunchbox guy that stays in the 5K range and can go out there and just blue collar punch in honest day's work and then go home to uh, the family, and that's all we need him to do. Don't need him to be a superhero or anything else. Just go out there, run laps, don't lose anything, and gain as much as you can, and we'll be happy. Same thing with Ryan Priest. Stuart Haas has been pretty solid to start the year. I think both of them are in good cars here and in good situation. John Hunter Nemechek, I have to put as a GPP just because I've just seen him get into too many incidents. So you can't play him in cash, but he's still in the same range. And if you need a pivot off of some of the other ones, I think he's in play here. Stenhouse, I think, will be very popular. Also, aggressive driver, good at this type of racing and track, and should be able to wedge his way up the field for probably about into maybe sniff the top 20 there. So I definitely like him cash. And Daniel Suarez has 2 and Trackhouse, I think, is has some upside. Bowman, I'm gonna put as a prime play here. It's a little bit further down than I want it to be, but 7,500. He's got a good car. Just didn't have a good qualifying run in Group B. And I think that he's established enough with good enough crew chief, good enough driver, and good enough equipment to be able to knife through like the Nemechek and Priest and Gillian and well, Cindric and Hemrick and LaJoy and Zane Smith that should be falling down. He should be able to get 5 to 10 place differential points. He's not a 30th place driver or 29th place driver by any means. So he's going to be my third prime play. AJ Allmendinger, I think he'll also be a strong cash play. Tier 2, experienced driver. I know this college program is not as good as it was in the Xfinity series, but AJ's been around. He's a good road course driver, which involves like braking and sharp turns and things like that. And the turns come so quickly that you really need to get in a good rhythm and understand braking and stuff on these short tracks. And I think that bodes well for him usually. So cash play for me. Austin Dillon's just had no speed, just has an abysmal start to the season. It's just been so below average. GPP. Haley and Gralla, I think it passed and go some of the ones that go down 5 laps pretty early. And Carson Hocevar potentially also, but I think he's got a little bit more upside. That's why I gave him the GPP. And then I got the 2 golden boys down here, Chris Buescher and Ross Chastain. The guys are obviously not 30th place cars. They spun out or got loose in their qualifying, and that's why they're down here. They had horrible speeds in that. They are good cars. They will be very popular and highly owned. I just think that a lot of people recommend them as core plays and cash plays just because of the place differential. But it just really scares me, all the calamity that can happen down here. If they don't get right out at it, and like Ross Chastain is super aggressive, and I can see him potentially doing it. Buescher, there's a lot of work for them to do to make sure that they get up into the pack so they don't get swallowed up by the leader if it stays green early. So for me, there's too much of a risk in cash. If you do play one of them and pair them with Blaney, just take one. I'd probably go with Buescher just because he's a little bit further ahead. I believe he's potentially a former winner here too. So I get Buescher and Briscoe screwed up sometimes, so I apologize for that if I'm wrong. Put it in the comments, let me know. But anyways, I think Buescher has a chance just with like the 2-car advantage there just to pull up. The other thing too is like Ty Gibbs had an issue, so he might be going to the back. So that's another reason I have him as a GPP. So if any of these cars start moving towards the back, that's going to help Buescher and Chastain. The more cars that are behind them, even though they're not going to be scored behind them, but if physically starting behind them is more of a buffer for them to be able to naturally move up and for them not to potentially get swallowed up. So if that is happening, then maybe I'd switch on to one of them in cash. But right now, when I built my cash line, I am up here with my 2 to 3 dominators, and then I am like right in this range right here. I feel there's enough safety in here to be able to, and enough like value in these like 6 and 5K drivers to be able to build a solid lineup. So that's what I got for you. Again, just have to pay attention to the news. So if you see people going to the back, that's going to just help the stock of Buescher and Chastain. Might push them into cash consideration for me, but right now they're just super GPP plays. That's why I gave them the gold instead of just a regular yellow. So that's what I got. So hope if you are celebrating St. Patrick's Day, you do it responsibly, don't drink and drive, and enjoy the race, and have a great weekend. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat below. Hit me up at Remegro31 on X or formerly Twitter. If you want more information on FSidfs, you want to get it for the free weekend, then just go to the description of the video and the link to get into our everything is there in the Discord, or to get into Discord or to get to the website to sign up. If you have trouble getting into Discord, again, just leave your username for Discord in the comments, and as soon as I see it, I will connect you. And if you want more information of us overall, Just come check that out. But if these videos help you, help us back, like, subscribe to our channel, share with a friend. So I just appreciate all the support and viewership we've gotten so far this year. It has been amazing. I've had a great time doing this. Hopefully you are benefiting also. And we're only, I think, 5 races into it, and it's been a solid year so far, even with some of the wild card tracks to start out with. So, and next week we go road racing with all 3, and we have a double header on Saturday. So that might be a great day if to go back to the video, if we do hit the 1000, which I'm pretty confident we will, to get a free coupon, because next Saturday I probably won't be any videos unless we get qualifying, and we might get them the day before, but if we don't, then that's really beneficial to be able to jump in and be able to see the sheet and get the cores and everything and help from me. So thanks for watching. Again, have a safe weekend, and I'll see you next week for all 3 series.